Hey guys, Matthew, and welcome to this second update of my Bossing to Headhunter challenge. So as I said in my last video, I was going to be making an update after I was done farming all of my Guardian maps, and this is now. So I have officially farmed a full tab of each of the Guardian maps, which is a total of 72, I believe, for a total of nearly 300 maps. Now let's talk about how long this took. This took about 10 hours. It took one full stream of 7 hours and another 3 hours of the next day, so 10 hours in order to farm all 300 maps. So needless to say, we are zooming. It is less than 2 minutes per map because this also this does account for trading, so buying the maps and the invitations and running the invitation as well. So for those wondering, people always ask me for a little bit of gameplay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and show you some like basically a clip or a little bit of showcase, if you will, from my stream yesterday, basically just to show how fast this build actually goes around. So it's a pretty fast build. Now I'm not full clearing these maps. I'm literally just throwing the map in white because I don't really care about anything that drops in the map itself. The only reason I'm even killing monsters here is because I'm trying to get flash charges. Now this is probably one of the slower maps, I would say, but Guardian maps are very, very linear. You can't really get lost. The Guardian is always at the same place at the end of the map. So all you have to do is run through the map, and then you'll see the Guardian kill at the end. I pretty much died every single map once, twice, sometimes 3 times, and when it comes to Chimera, even 4 times. In the entirety of the nearly 300 maps that I did, I failed 2 of them, both Chimeras. So I died 6 times, and the reason for that is both of them was the same situation. They were porcupine maps, and porcupines are they're hard to deal with. You basically can't kill them at all. If you kill porcupines, you will die. So you have to just run past them. But I died like 3 times during the map, so once the Chimera phases started, right, the smoke mine phases, it was too late. I did not have enough portals left. But as you can see, this is kind of what it looks like. The damage is pretty insane. So anyways, that's basically a quick showcase of how long it took to run the maps. It's very, very fast, less than 2 minutes per map. So I ran, as I said, about 300 maps. I was really going quickly, trying to get this done as fast as possible. So after I was done farming all of those, and I'll tell you guys quickly about the setup, I guess. So as I mentioned in the last video, we are going for Guardian's Aid. This makes it so whenever you get a Guardian to 33% life, as you saw in the little bit of a clip video, whatever, it respawns full life alongside an ally. The ally seems to have about a 50% chance to drop a fragment, does not seem to be affected by quality or quantity at all. And not only that, the formed invitation also does not seem to be affected by quantity or anything like that. It seems to be about a 20% drop rate, and that seems to be no matter if the map is fully juiced up or not. It seems to be basically every 5 maps. So if you go with that data there, once every 5 maps you're dropping an invitation, but you have to run an invitation every 4 maps. That means that it's technically impossible to self-sustain the invitations. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys basically a quick clip of an invitation, and then I'll talk about how to go about self-sustaining them. So when I was running my invitations, to try to get the maximum value out of them, I was running with 75 quantity or above. So as you can see, the quantity here, 87, that's a good one. 75 or above seems to give you 5 Maven Splinters, Crescent Splinters, every single time. So every time you do this twice, you get one Maven's Writs, which you can then sell in bulk for nearly about an Exalt each, or of course you can run them for Maven's Orb farming, and also Elevated Sextants are pretty good, alongside some other drops, but those are pretty much the big ones. So let me go ahead and show you guys basically what an invitation looks like on this build, because it's pretty much you put down 2 brands. Whenever you see these little lines at the start of the invitation, it tells you where the monsters are going to spawn, so you can basically put the brands down prior. Then I basically, after I put my 2 brands on each of them, because I have 4 brands total, 2 of them attached to each of them, I'm going to run in the opposite direction, and they are just going to absolutely melt. I'm going to put 2 there, 2 there, run the opposite direction, and there you go. The invitation's done. Literally instantly killed these invitations. It's the same thing for the feared, it's the same thing for the hidden, it's the same thing for any of the invitations. The damages is through the roof. Of course, however, our life is also, you know, we have to sacrifice something to get that much damage, and for us it is defense, it is life. We are absolutely squishy. But now talk about the invitations. Like I said, the major moneymaker is going to be the Crescent Splinters. 5 of them is about 50C or so. And the Maven Invitation, or sorry, the Shaper Invitation, my bad, the Formed, you're almost self-sustaining it, but not quite. I already gave you guys the data, but there is one way to go about being able to self-sustain them. So as you can see, they sell for about 35C each or so. It seems they're going up in price recently. But here's the cool thing. If you actually drop one of them, which I said is about a 20% chance, which means every 5 maps you're going to be dropping one, right? You can actually use a Finimul Plague Arachnid in order to split it in half. And this is basically half the cost, not even half the cost, nearly 1/3 of the cost of the invitation, right? So you can basically get 2 formed invitations every time you drop one. So that means that if you're getting 1 every 5 maps, now you're getting 2 every 5 maps, and you only need 1 every 4 maps, which means you're actually getting an over-sustain of these invitations, which you can then sell for additional profit on top of the ones that you're going to be running for yourself. So it is very, very nice. Over the course of my 300-ish maps, my 72 sets, I was able to farm 72 invitations as well, and I probably only had to buy about 10 of them, and I wasn't even splitting them. So if I was splitting them along the way, I only split the last few, I would have been able to make significantly more money, but I was being too lazy. So that's why I didn't do it personally. So it is pretty good. As you can see, within those 300 maps that took me about 10 hours to run, I was able to farm 36 Maven's Writs in 10 hours. And this is including buying the maps and including running the invitations, right? Including everything. 36 is about 32-ish Exalts. So just in Maven's Writs alone, I made over 3x an hour. Now, this is not pure profit because, of course, you have to pay for the maps and the invitations. But I did tell you guys that you can essentially self-sustain the invitations and even make profit off of selling more, like the over-sustain. And every single one of these Shaper fragments essentially are worth the map. So the map is actually technically free. So what that means is that these Maven's Writs are essentially pure profit. So just off of the Maven's Writs, I made over 3 Exalt an hour. This does not account for anything else. So needless to say, this is a pretty good way to make currency. Now let's talk about, well, how much currency did we actually make then over this 10-hour period? So if you guys remember last video, I said I was about a 40-ish Exalt value on my account for the challenge, and you know, a portion of that was actually put on my character. The excellence was something like 30x or something, 32x if I remember correctly. Now our excellence is showing about 100 Exalts. Not quite, but nearly 100 Exalts right now at 11,872 Chaos. And this does not include anything that is like fluff or anything like that. All of this is actual like items that are absolutely sellable, because most of them are actually big ticket items like fragments and stuff like that, very easy to sell. Exalts did go up in price. They're about 117, so that puts us at 101 Exalt just in items, right? Not only that, we also have the maybe 10-ish Exalts that I have on my character. And this also doesn't account for bulk. For example, my Maven's Writs are actually at 97 Chaos on Excellence, but in reality, I can sell them for nearly 1 Exalt each. Another thing is like my Orb of Unmakings are at like 9 Chaos. I can sell them for, 10 plus Chaos each. The Fragments are the same thing. They're at 74, but I can sell them for around 80, 85 Chaos each in bulk. So there's a lot of value that is not even there. But even if we put that all aside, still, if we remove what we had last time, it means that over the course of 10-hour farming, we actually made 70 plus Exalts. Like I said already, I already mentioned where the majority of the money comes from, but one other thing that I think is definitely people are overlooking is these little nodes here. These little nodes, the Shaper, Elder, and their Guardians have 35% chance to drop an influenced item. This stacks. So it's not an increased chance, it's a percent chance, which means that every single time you kill a Shaper or an Elder and their Guardians, there is a 100% chance that they drop an influenced item. Because we're running 30 maps an hour, that is 30 influenced items per hour. you are bound to get something good eventually. So over the course of my 10 hours of farming, I dropped, I believe, 1 opal ring. I dropped 2 silver rings, item level 85 shaper. I dropped multiple crystal belts, boots, etc., all which were worth 1 plus exalt. I think just in bases, I probably made over 10 exalts over the span of 10 hours, which is 1 exalt per hour just in bases. Which is pretty damn insane. Anyways, so we were making over 7 exalts per hour over the course of the last day or so of the challenge. Now I'm basically going to be talking about what I'm going to be doing going forward and essentially how I'm going to go about finishing the challenge. So what I'm going to be doing going forward is essentially I'm going to run the entirety of my shaper sets. In the 72 sets of Shaper Guardians that I did, I was able to get 126 Shaper sets. I've already ran 28 of these. As you can see, I have 98 left, 98 being the minimum fragments that I have. So I'm going to be running all 98 of those probably today, or I'm going to, start doing the majority of them today and then finish off tomorrow. We'll see, how long this takes. But I've been farming Shaper about 5 minutes per set, which is, 12 Shapers per hour. So this is just about a full day of just blasting Shaper. Now, why would I go about farming Shaper? Well, Shaper is also pretty good money. Now, if we look at the price of the fragments, right, on Excellence, you'll see that most of these Shaper fragments are about 10C each, not quite. Let's just say 9C each on average. So 9C each times 4 is 36 chaos or so per Shaper set. Now, of course, being sold in bulk, you can get a little bit more. Let's just say 40 chaos per set. Meanwhile, the fragment here are about twice that. They're 80 chaos in bulk. So that means that every 5 minutes, I'm making 40 chaos profit off of just those by themselves. And I said that I'm able to do 12 of these per hour, right? So right now, that is about 4 exalt an hour just in fragments. This does not account for any of the bases that you drop from Shapers. So for example, gloves, boots, rings, belts, etc. Any of that, none of that is accounted for. And this also doesn't account for any of the uniques. Now, most of the uniques are complete trash, but the gloves can be corrupted for additional currency gains because there's a lot of corruptions on them that are worth at least, 20, 30, 40, 50 chaos, even 1 plus exalt, depending on the roll. The flasks are pretty damn cheap, about 10C each, but again, there are some better rolls. So for example, if you get, very good reduced charges alongside good AoE, this flask, for example, probably sells for about an X, right? Same thing with the amulet. If you get a good roll, it's worth more. The boots can be corrupted. The swords are not really worth anything, but a good roll can be worth a decent amount. And of course, again, you have the very consistent fragments, which are doubling your money every single time. So I'm expecting Shaper to be probably more so around the 5 or 6x per hour. I really don't think that it's going to beat the farming of the actual Guardians themselves because of the invitation and because of the Maven's Ritz farming and all that. But I will say that I was pleasantly surprised to be making over 7 exalts per hour farming basically, Guardian maps this late into the league. So anyways, that's pretty much all I have for this update. I'm pretty sure that when the next update comes around, we will be completely done with this challenge as well. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to telling you guys how good Shaper was in the end. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Before I go, as always, I want to say massive thank you to my supporters: Joseph, Atticus, Don, Brandon, Fruitfly, Reese, Panda, Essential Bard, Adorant, Welcome Back, Neroth, Jacob, Thomas, Nike, The Great Master, Alex, Emil, Tim, Raymond, Grimoire, Lost with the Mac, Flame Scorpion, Nathaniel, Richard, Johnny, Scott, Ronald, Willie D, Kevin, Moonkiss, Mercury, Bison, and Axel, as well as a massive thank you to everybody else who has supported me in the past, or anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.